If you're not seeing my face on Zoom, it means I'm eating.
Our meeting is called to order. Good afternoon. Thanks for being here. We start off our meetings with Pledge of Allegiance, led by General Huber.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
General, now's the time for our MTSU tradition to introduce us to a great student veteran. Please, sir.
Thank you, Chairman, board members, President McPhee, ladies and gentlemen. It's my privilege today to present to you Army Sergeant Jessica Pearson, whose life to this point is a profound statement of sacrifice and service. As an Army brat, her father was in the Army, stationed in Germany. She was born in Frankfurt and raised in Berlin. As an Army soldier, as an Army wife, as an Army widow, she followed her father's example, enlisting in the Army, assigned to the 101st Airborne Division Air Assault at Fort Campbell, where she met and married her husband. She deployed to combat in Iraq, and after losing her husband, she completed her original tour of duty and was honorably discharged. As a student veteran, as a student worker, as a student mentor, as a servant leader, she started her collegiate life at Austin Peay and then decided to transfer here to Middle Tennessee State University in search of her Bachelor of Science degree. She worked as a student worker helping other veterans. She rejoined the military, this time in the Tennessee Army National Guard, of which her time also involved another recall to active duty, and today she remains in the Tennessee Army National Guard, working towards becoming a chaplain's assistant. She graduated from this great university with a Bachelor's of Science degree. She worked full-time in the MTSU business office, and when a vacancy became available, she was selected and hired to be the transition manager at the Charlie and Hazel Daniels Veterans and Military Family Center, where she meets with every student veteran and talks to them about what they hope to accomplish during their time here and the pathway to success. Ladies and gentlemen, Ms. Jessica.
Good afternoon. My name is Jessica Pearson, and I originally came to MTSU to pursue a forensic science degree. When I went to Austin Peay, they didn't have that program there, so upon doing more research, I realized that MTSU was offering that program, and so I made that leap to transition to MTSU. While I was studying for my undergrad, I was also working as a student worker. And I just realized how much I enjoyed helping veterans and their families transition into college. And so when the opportunity presented itself, I applied for a full-time position in the Veterans Center, and I was selected for that position. And fast forward 4 or 5 years, and now I am serving as the transition manager in the Veterans Center, Charlie and Hazel Daniels Center, to be. Thank you very much.
Mr. Secretary, could we have a roll call on the vote, please? Attendance?
Trustee Baker.
Here.
Trustee Boyd.
Present.
Trustee DeLay.
Here.
Trustee Freeman.
Here.
Trustee Jacobs. Trustee Martin.
Here.
Trustee Carboliak.
Here.
Chairman Smith.
Here.
Trustee Wright.
Here.
Trustee McDonald.
Here.
It's 8 present.
Well, we have a quorum then. I think it'd be proper to report that Trustee Jacobs was rehospitalized this morning. He had serious surgery a week ago or so. Planned on being here 2 days ago, but we should keep him in our thoughts and prayers because I think he's really sick. So I throw that out. We've got 2 requests to be on the agenda. We'll take them one at a time. Mr. Braxton Coleman, a student here, did all the right things in order to be on the agenda, and he's been granted on the agenda. And so, Braxton, come on. I'm going to ask the secretary to if I hear no objections, we're going to grant that.
Chairman, if I may, there needs to be a motion to amend the agenda.
I'm sorry?
There needs to be a motion to amend the agenda to add.
So moved.
Second.
Hearing no objections, that's unanimous. So will you keep time, Jeff? We roughly a 5-minute period allowed in our rules. And happy to have a student customer come before us. Drum roll.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. You take the microphone, please, sir. Give us your name.
My name is Braxton Coleman. I'm a student here at MTSU, current senior. I want to speak on the status of our student body. That is okay.
Mr. Coleman, if you like, you can take off your mask if you like.
Hand those out, please. I brought materials for each of the board members, just so we can all be on the same playing field, have all the same available information. All right. 311 days ago, peaceful protesters were tear gassed on university property. They were harassed by military-grade police trucks, were sitting on a street corner demanding justice. I wasn't there that day, but I was 30 miles north the prior day in Nashville getting tear gassed for similar reasons. And personally, I will say it's not a fun experience at all. I've only been tear gassed twice in my life, once there and the other during basic training, and it's a reason that it's been banned from war. 232 days ago, in this same room, we were assured that the football program was handled in terms of COVID, despite the fact that over 20 players had caught COVID during the span of, I want to say, a couple months. But we were assured that not only would the players be protected, but the student body. 120 days ago, in this same room, December 8th, 2020, you all were told that 0 students were hospitalized due to COVID. That was a lie. It just was. I've had friends who've had to sit in the hospital from COVID. That was just a lie. 295 days ago, this is last summer, the previous student trustee asked you all to look at the issues concerning your students of color because we were grieving and we were hurting. She did her job representing the student body and asked you all to look at issues concerning us. 77 days ago, an article was released by the Washington Post discussing everything that was happening behind the scenes of the football program. Students disappearing for days because they caught it. Cramped conditions that were breaking all COVID guidelines. This in addition to the fact that they were traveling across the country and coming back, potentially infecting the rest of the student body. 12 days ago, Alan Thomas called the police on me for bringing attention to the tear gassing that I mentioned at the beginning of my speech. The first 3 photos that you see in those folders, I hung those up in the Cope building for the 300-day anniversary of those tear gas attacks because nobody had said anything. Instead of asking me to take them down or asking why I would put up something like that, within 5 minutes, the university administration just called the cops on me, potentially to silence me. And in my opinion, that's not okay. We pride ourselves on being Americans because of the fact that we should be able to speak on what distresses us. We call it freedom of speech. Why then, when we call attention to things that pain us, when we see things that are atrocious happening right here on the university that we pay money to, we try and call attention to it, why are we stopped? Why are we potentially silenced? It doesn't make sense to me. I provided all those points because I wasn't sure if any of you knew. To most of the student body, they don't know who you are. They think the top of the chain is President McPhee. When in my opinion, they should know about you all as well. You all make decisions that affect me, that affected my mother when she went to school here, that affect my sister if she wants to go here eventually. So I thought, if you all are making such big decisions, you should be aware of what's happening on this campus. Now, before my time is up, I want to call out everything that's in your packet that I made, which I handmade. Took me all night. Like I said, the first thing was the 3 flyers, which got the cops called on me. The second one was the resulting police report and the subsequent email showing that they didn't have any of the materials that they should have been able to provide to the public at our request. The third is a situation which I truly think encapsulates everything that's been wrong in the past with MTSU, but it also shows what you all could do to remedy it. If you all want to know, I can't finish it in this time, but you can ask me after the meeting, because I'm sure you all have seen me sitting there just like I have the past 3 meetings. The other items in there are infographics that I've provided to the student body. They've been really receptive to it, and from what I see, they feel the same way that I do. So,
5 minutes.
thank you.
Mr. Secretary, is it possible for we to give him a 5-minute extension?
That'd be okay.
Chairman?
No, you get 5 minutes, and I think that's proper.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. You have a motion on the minutes?
So moved.
Mr. Braxton, thank you for your courage for being here and sharing with the board information that we may not know. There was a 5-minute time limit, but I appreciate your fervor, your honesty, your enthusiasm, your willingness to come before this board as a student. It's what this university is about. And I appreciate you speaking up because America is built on people who spoke up. And so keep doing what you're doing. And if you want to get 5 more minutes, come to the next meeting. We'll give you 5 minutes then. If you want to come to the next meeting and get 5 more minutes, come to the next meeting and get 5 more minutes, because what you have said in these 5 minutes has been very educational for me and somewhat disappointing to me. of what you've shown me in this slide, in these slides.
Thank you for fighting for the students.
That's disappointing.
We had a motion that's been made to approve the minutes.
Second.
Is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
We have another request that puts me in the middle of a tough one, Darrell. So that's good. Vice Chairman Freeman sent an email or text, I don't know the difference sometimes.
Email.
Okay. To President and I, asking to be on the agenda. He was plenty early, timely, all those things. And I recommended that he go in the information session, in which he said he didn't want to, which is fine. So I'm going to need a motion, and I'm sure that's fine. The other one that is troubling, Darrell, that I don't know quite how to address, we don't have rules on films, information, and that kind of stuff. I'm hoping, Jeff, that we'll get some. I hate rules, but we need to get some. It's my understanding you have a request to show a film or PowerPoint as well. So if we set a precedent that you can do that, then what keeps JB from showing, or not JB, but anybody from showing something that's not appropriate? I did ask you to submit information that you'd like to present a week ahead of time, in which I never got a response. So it's up to the board's pleasure. I'll make a motion that Darrell be added to the agenda, but I think my first blush is that we don't have a PowerPoint or film. Last time we had one unannounced, it was fine. But Darrell, we have a committee system, and that's why we stay 2 or 3 hours in committee. It's really it doesn't keep anybody from doing it, but the board meeting's really not for a board member to have 30 minutes each week to pontificate about whatever's on their mind, be it a good subject or a poor subject. I'm not the judge of that. So,
Mr. Chairman, did you
puts
say
me
that
in
I sent my request to be on the agenda plenty early enough?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Then I should be on the agenda. It's not up to you. I'm not going to allow you to lecture me about what I should do to be on the agenda. I'll follow the rules.
Darrell, the agenda, the reason you weren't on the agenda is the agenda was printed prior to your request.
Yeah, but we have rules for that.
And I've asked.
We have rules for that. I sent my request plenty early. And if I get my request in plenty early, I should be placed on the agenda.
You're going to get on the agenda, I'm sure.
If you don't want me to talk today, I'll talk tomorrow. I'll talk next time. We can put it on the agenda for next month. But the issues that are facing this university, we could talk about them today, or we could talk about it at the next meeting. But there are issues that are facing students, particularly African-American males. And I'm not here to pontificate about the data. Our VPs provided information at the last committee session the night before the meeting.
Why don't we
And
go ahead and
wasn't-
get you on the agenda, and then you can have.
Now,
Steve,
I'm going to wait. If I got 5 minutes,
No, you
I'll
can have 5
delay.
minutes. Take as long as you want.
Okay.
Chairman,
I mean, it's
second
up
the
to a
motion.
vote. We got to vote to get on the agenda, which I've made an assumption that that vote would be positive. But your request was given after we had printed the agenda. Now, I've asked Dr. McPhee from now on to instruct that we print the agenda 7 days ahead of time. We printed the agenda 9 or 10 earlier than the rule. That wasn't on you.
Yeah, I know.
It just happened. So the rules are clear about how you change the agenda, and that's what we're in the process. Do I have a motion to add Darrell to the agenda?
So may I move, Mr.
And I
Chairman,
second.
to amend the agenda? And may I also make a suggestion that at a future board meeting or at a committee meeting, which may be more appropriate, for us to be more specific about what the request to be placed on the agenda should entail. So if there are needs for audiovisual, for example, in the request to be placed on the agenda, that we modify the rules to indicate that that would be expected. So I think it's just a matter of clarity. What I'm hearing is there may have been some confusion about what is included in a request to be on an agenda.
So let me give you some historical
So if I
context.
would just, can I just make
Sure.
that as a request, but then I would stand as making the motion to amend the agenda to provide trustee Freeman, Vice Chairman Freeman, the opportunity to speak to the board.
Do I have a second?
I second.
Motion's made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous.
And I want to just make a point of clarification. Initially, I sent my request in with enough time to be placed on the agenda, within the right window. You suggested that I be on the information session, and I said the subject I'm going to cover deserves to be on the entire board agenda, so we can have some discussion about it. You asked me to send you some information. I did not send it because Dr. McPhee then called me to Saturday or Monday, whatever. You called me, what day did you call me, Doc, and say, I talked to the chairman over the weekend, and you're going to be on the agenda. What day was that, Dr. McPhee? Was that yesterday?
It's the weekend.
It was the weekend. And so I didn't send any information to you because I didn't know that I was going to be on the agenda. I mean, think about that. And so I brought the information that I prepared, and I've given it to the folks in the audiovisual, and I'd love for them to pull up my presentation.
Well, what's the pleasure? It suits me. I just think we need to have rules to preview these things. Not in this case, I'm sure, but in going forward.
I agree.
So can I just make another suggestion? And again, this goes back to sort of my history, and that is, in terms of board structure, one would typically have a situation where materials need to be submitted by a certain date in order to be included in a board package. I'm sure that's been your experience as well, Daryl. And maybe
I would have done that.
Yeah, and maybe in this case there was a bit of a miscommunication and perhaps a timing misalignment.
I didn't find out till this weekend that I was going to be on the agenda.
So a bit of a timing misalignment, and I think that going forward, we probably can solve for that if we just have very clear expectations about timing. So, because I think it's important to have a good, strong dialogue and to have open conversation. So I think it's just a matter of, this is a logistics thing, it's not an information thing. Does that make sense?
Yes, I think Trustee Kobawiak, I followed the rules.
Okay.
I followed the rules. And, I followed the rules.
Okay. No, I'm just saying, I think,
Yeah, and I think if I follow the rules, I should be able to be placed on the agenda. I serve on 3 corporate boards. I understand the rules.
I'm not, Trustee Freeman, I'm not arguing with you about whether or not you follow the rules. I'm just saying that maybe what we need as a board is to be more clear about how we want to operate. It's not to say,
Yes.
I think that's really all I'm trying to say.
I think that's a note for the chairman.
Well, I think it's this board's responsibility to make sure that we are clear about our expectations. So I think, absolutely, I think the group agrees that that you follow the rules. We just need to be clear about what the rules are.
Yes, we need to be clear.
And
what the rules-
Chris, I'd like to ask that I think that should include committee meetings also. I think it would be very helpful in advance if we were aware of things that were going to be requested for the agenda and also materials. Just since we're discussing this, I'd like to broaden it to committee members, to committee meetings also.
And I would agree with that. And one of the reasons why I asked to be on the agenda, because the last committee meeting we had, Trustee Wright, we got information for that committee meeting the night before the meeting. So if we're going to follow the rules, it needs to go throughout the entire organization. I shouldn't get an email from, that's not true? I didn't get,
A good bit.
Pete, did you have a question? Let's, I don't want to
Okay.
get completely out of order here. Darrell has been, Vice Chairman's been added to the agenda. Are there any other questions before he starts?
Well, my comment was to what Pam was saying, in that, basically I view our board is to take action on things that come before our committees. And I understand why, for example, the student trustee, the student a few minutes ago presented to the board, because he's not part of our committee structure. But we as board members are part of our committee structure. And that seems to be where most of the work of our committees takes place, is in our committee structure. And then we have to have action required by the board at the board meeting. I'm perfectly looking forward to hearing Vice Chairman Freeman's presentation today. But it seems to me that this is more something that would be discussed in a committee as opposed to pronounced at the board.
Okay, no time limit. Have at it.
How about it? Well, first of all, thank you. This is the first presentation I've done in about 4 years, and I'm excited to do it. Mr. Chairman, thank you for the opportunity to speak on what I call a very important topic, a topic that's very important to me. It's about our collective promise to all of our students, especially our black male students. On our website, there's a quote from Dr. McPhee that says, "We are extremely grateful and honored to be entrusted with something as important as the education of your student." That's on our website. And his quote reflects both the sentiment and the seriousness of this issue. How do we ensure that we're honoring the trust that is being put into us for all of our students, particularly our black male students? All of us around this table, all of us on this board and in the audience, we're alumni, some of us are fans and supporters. And we choose to spend our time and talent and resources here. Why? We do it because we care about our students. Today, we have a chance to prove that we care about all of our students. It's been a long time since I had to work these slides. That's the quote from Dr. McPhee. I'm glad I looked up. In our last committee meeting session, we got some data from our staff, some powerful statistics regarding the retention of Pell Grant first-generation black male students, and they're not experiencing the promise that we've talked about. They're not experiencing the promise that we talked about. While this is not a new problem, or a problem that we have alone, it is a problem that has reached epic proportions on our campus. And the problem is much bigger than I had realized. Now, some of you who got the data last week, a Pell Grant black first-generation male student coming to school here has a 10.5% chance, we can say chance, opportunity, to graduate in 4 years. That's unacceptable. That is completely unacceptable. And I can go through data, I can go through more data, but I'm just going to stop there. A 10.5% opportunity, chance to graduate from here in 4 years. That's not good. That is not acceptable. Now, solutions. You know, we're not afraid of this challenge. This board is not afraid, Chairman, of this challenge. This board is made up of problem solvers. Because we know that great leaders and great organizations strive in the face, JB, of challenge. That we attack issues like this by starting and prioritizing the problem and being transparent. When you consider the members of this board, none of us would be here without the ability to address urgent challenges. Whether it's an issue with tire performance, or trucking performance, or Tom, your investment portfolio performance. We're on this board because we understand how to deliver urgent solutions. And some of us have worked with various organizations. associations, whether it's the U.S. Tire Manufacturers Association, where it talks about safety of tires and how to improve tire manufacturing, whether it's the SEC, where it talks about improving investors' opportunity to invest in quality companies, or where it's talking about the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, JB, where it talks about making trucking more safe. We've worked with a bunch of organizations in our careers. We owe a better performance to our governor, to our state, and to our taxpayers. We owe a better performance. We should be accountable to our taxpayers. We should be accountable to our state. 10.5% is not the number, and it should not be the number. June of last year, the governor invited me to his mansion, just he and I, in the height of COVID, to talk about diversity, to talk about race and what he could do to make Tennessee a better place. We talked about that. But also we have other folks who are looking at what we're doing as it relates to blacks on this campus. I got a call from Channel 5 just Friday asking me about the Black Male Success Initiative that I've been working with at THEC, wanting to know what are we going to do. And I refuse the interview, Andrew, because we're not there yet. And I say all that to say this. Let's face it. MTSU's history books will record what this board is doing during this very critical time. How did we choose to respond? Did we explain it away with, it's a problem across the country? Did we explain it away and said they're not prepared when they got here? Did we explain it away, or did we take action? Did we make a difference? The history books will record that. And Dr. Sluter said last week, if we're going to ensure that black male students graduate when they should and how they should, we must make it a board priority. It needs to be a board priority. Every meeting we have a veteran come to speak to us, and it gives my heart joy to hear from them, to know that on our campus, we care for veterans and we're going to go the extra mile for veterans. That's one of the chairman's priorities, and I admire that. I admire that. But what I want to see, I want to hear from some African Americans on campus, some African American faculty and staff to tell us what they're experiencing on campus, like the veterans are telling us that they experience on campus. This issue of the stats relating to African Americans, the graduation rates and the disparities, needs to be, we need to be transparent about it. It's not all good news. And one of my mentors, Jack Bovender, the former chairman of HCA, he always says to me, Darrell, if you're serving on the board and the news is not so good, tell everything you know, tell it as soon as you know it, and tell it to anybody who will listen. We've got to get this problem out into the public space, that everybody knows and understands it so that we can put our marker in the ground. So when we go from where we are now to greatness, people will know where we started. They'll know where we started. African Americans dropping out of this school at a disproportionate rate, it costs them a lot of money. It costs them a lot of money. All their hopes and dreams of their parents are tied up here. Coming to school here, it costs them a lot of money. I've been trying to figure out what the cost is to us, Alan. With the disparity the way that it is, I believe that we're losing millions of dollars in tuition and books and fees because of this disparity. So if you can't grasp the personal side effects of it, surely we can grasp the financial side of it, the financial side of it. MTSU, we succeed at what we want to succeed at. We succeed at what we want to succeed at. I just left a groundbreaking. Through Dr. McPhee's leadership, through a pandemic, kept the school open, we had a groundbreaking for a concrete building. Success. He's done over $1 billion worth of building on this campus. Success. We succeed at what we want to succeed at. We can succeed at removing the disparity. We succeed at what we want to succeed at. The young man in this picture plays professional football. Went to school here at MTSU. Think about this stat. And I just got this stat from Dr. Burns yesterday. If you're an African-American athlete at MTSU student athlete, your 6-year graduation rate is over 90%. We succeed at what we want to succeed at. So we've made some effort. But we've got to make more effort, and we've got to drive results. I listened to Dr. Heather Brown this morning. She was talking about the building, and she said, people build people. Buildings don't build people. So, I say all that. I got to get to Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, spent a number of years away from the university after he had dropped out in the early 70s. Took advantage of an outstanding program that we used to bring people back to campus, right, Mr. Chairman? So they can get their degree. We're good at that. Let's be good, let's stay good at that. But let's get good at getting the kids who are here to graduate. Let's be good at that. Let's be good at that. Time is running out. It's time for us to get busy addressing this problem. It's time for us to get busy addressing this problem. The student African-American population, and Mr. Burns, if I'm wrong, please tell me, the African-American population it's getting hot under these lights. The African-American population at MTSU from 2015 to now is on a decline. Is that correct? Is that correct, sir? Yes, sir. The African-American population at MTSU is on the decline. That's unacceptable. We've got to be better at recruiting and retaining African-American students. If we want our overall graduation rate to go up, we've got to work with these students to make it better. Time is running out. MTSU alumni. We should have some alumni that look like this. Their chances of being alumni should be the same as others. I left the groundbreaking, I looked around, I didn't see hardly anybody that looked like me. That shouldn't be. It's 2021. So, I say all that to say this, Mr. Secretary. We believe in honesty and integrity. That's on our website. For us to be honest with ourselves, everybody's got to have an equal shot to cross the stage at Murphy Center. We've added new lights at Murphy Center. We've renovated Murphy Center. But today, some students will never make it to Murphy Center. That should not be. Honesty and integrity, that's on our website. We've got to be honest with ourselves. So, I got a motion, Mr. Chairman. I want to move that this issue become a part of every board meeting until we see sustained positive results. If not already, which I think it should be included in Quest 2025, but with not just goals and objectives, but actual target numbers as it relates to staff, professorships, deans, African American graduation rates. And then the last part of my motion is the board should loudly support this initiative. That's my motion, and I hope I can get a second.
I think the motion's out of order. We can vote on it if we want to, but we go through a committee system, Darren, and we don't know that our committee agrees with your goals.
That's fine. I made a motion that this issue be a part of the board meetings until we see a sustained positive results. The motion can down the floor, but I made it. It's never improper, according to parliamentary procedures, to make a motion.
No, that's right.
I made the motion. It can down the floor, but I made it. So thank you for your time, and thank you for the opportunity to get up here and speak before you. And let's get to work. Any questions?
Darrell, I don't have a question, but I have a comment. I appreciate your passion and persistence in pursuing this issue, your focus on it. So your passion and persistence is exemplary. So thank you for that, first of all. And excuse me. And I commend you for your interest in the success of black students, but I think all students as well, not just black students.
Yes.
Not just black male students, but
Yes.
all students. So I think we're all interested in the success of all students, including black, purple, green, white, whatever color they may or may not be. So I commend you again for the passion and persistence in that. I would like to note that at a couple of meetings that, if I counted correctly, I may not have, that there are 14 equity programs to address minority, Pell Grant students,
Yes.
et cetera. Now, I don't know if, I'm not intimately aware of any of them, or not even hardly knowledgeable of any of them, but there are 14 out there. And of that, I think 9 are related to underrepresented students,
Yes.
if I counted correctly. 4 specifically focus on black students,
Yes.
and 1 is on minority faculty. Now, again, I don't know how good or not good those programs are. Maybe the start is to evaluate those programs. I don't know. If they're not good, let's get rid of them and get one that is good, that addresses success of all students, minority, underrepresented students, every student. We want every Pell Grant students, every student to graduate. But I would like to commend Dr. McPhee and his team that we are making effort.
Yes.
We've got 14 programs out there. Now, again, how good they are or not good they are, I can't personally speak to that, but there is effort. There's significant effort out there to address this issue. And again, I appreciate your passion and your interest and focus and keeping that in front of us. That's very important. And we've not yet achieved the university's graduation success rate that we would hope to achieve for any student, regardless. So again, I think the goal is very appropriate, and it's appropriate to keep working on it. And again, I think Dr. McPhee and his team are working toward that goal. Now, can we do more? Certainly, we always do more on everything. So with that, again, I just want to commend you. Thank you for keeping your focus on this, and I do want to commend Dr. McPhee and his team for his efforts and work on this topic as well. And again, maybe Dr. McPhee, we need to review these programs. I don't know or not. I'm not that knowledgeable.
And Tom, thank you for the compliment. When you grow up broke, you got to have focus. And so I'm focused on this. But before I sit down, I want to make it very, very clear that this university, under Dr. McPhee's leadership, has put in the effort. He has put in the effort, and he and I have spoken about the effort. And we're going to do more. So I'm thankful that you made that statement because I don't want anybody in this room to believe that Dr. McPhee and his team is not putting in effort. But oftentimes when you sit on the board, you have to continue to add some focus. And that's what I'm doing. So there is effort. There are 14 programs, and I'm proud of those programs. But for us to be number one, we might need 28 programs. We might need 30. And so there is effort. And I applaud and compliment Dr. McPhee and his staff, and thankful for his leadership in those areas. And so appreciate you reminding me. And I should not have forgotten to say that, but thank you.
And Chairman Smith, I'd like to add, and I thought Tom spoke it so eloquently, but I'm thinking Darryl must have specifics of things that could be done at the university because he's put a lot of time and effort into this, and there have to be specific things. So I would encourage there to be a group that Darryl could work with to address specifics. And I mean, Dr. McPhee, if that's possible, that Darryl be added to a committee or work with a group at the university to try to maybe evaluate the programs. And I'm assuming, Darryl, you'd be willing to do that.
And
Yes,
so, Pat, the
Trustee
reason
White, may I add
Yeah, go ahead.
to that point? In fact, I sent Vice Chairman Freeman 2 weeks ago, maybe 10 days ago, a request, an offer to work with a group on our university to continue to work on the graduation rate. Is that correct?
Yes.
I also want to say that while we obviously have to do better, and we want to point out, we have to be very careful that we don't leave the perception that nothing is being done or the university is not making any progress. As well as you put out the graduation rate and you use that 10%, we use 6 years rather than 4 years. I wish that, and you've heard the presentation from your friend, your roommate, who was hired to work with black males, in which the university, this is just one example, the university internally reallocated $500,000, $500,000 for a Scholars Academy that is made up of blacks, Pell eligible. And so we have too many of our staff that are doing a good job for the impression to be left as that somehow that this is a terrible university for black students and for black males. That probably is not your intent,
No,
but that's how it comes across.
Yeah.
And for those hardworking employees, it would be very unfortunate if people walk away with that perception because it is not true.
And Dr. McPhee, I appreciate those comments, but I think what I said was that I applaud you and your leadership and your team for the work that you've done. I applauded you and your leadership. And yes, you did ask me to work with a group of folks on this campus, which I will gladly do. But I needed to make sure that the board understood how I felt about this. I will work with them. But I need to make sure that you understood and you understood and you understood how I felt about it, how important it is to me. And so, again, I'll reiterate, thank you for the efforts. Thank you for the work that you're doing. And there's more work to be done. And I believe that we can do it. I believe we can do it. I believe that we can remove the disparity. I believe that we can do that. Otherwise, I would not be standing here if I didn't believe we could. But I needed the board to get on board, to understand what I was thinking and how I feel about it. And I think one of the things that Governor Haslam did on all the boards, he brought people from various backgrounds with different perspectives. And sometimes your perspective, some people may not have it. I may not have yours, you may not have mine, but it's incumbent upon us as board members to share our perspectives. And I'm just here sharing my perspective. Because I got a lot of friends who went to school here at MTSU. Many of them are raising families now. that never did graduate. You may not have any friends who are African Americans who went to school here and dropped out. But you have another perspective, and I got to be respectful of your perspective. And I hopefully you'll be respectful of mine.
We appreciate your passion. And one of the duties of the chairman is run an orderly meeting. If we don't go through the committee system, I don't believe I'll be able to get anybody to show up for a committee meeting. I mean, why have a committee if we don't go through the system? We've all served on volunteer boards before, and they're worse than paid boards. On a committee works on a subject for a year, and then they get to the board meeting and they change everything they've done. So I think to jump frog the committee is a mistake. That's not hearing a second. The motion fails. Would you read the minutes, please? Or have we approved the minutes, Jeff?
We have.
Pam, it's your committee.
Okay. You ready for my committee report? Okay, thank you, Chairman Smith. The Academic Affairs, Student Life, and Athletics Committee met on March 16, 2021. The committee approved the minutes from its November 10, 2020 meeting. Today, I would like to present 4 action items for the board's consideration, all of which were presented by Provost Mark Burns. First was a request for approval expedited tenure of 2 recent hires. The university may find it necessary to expedite tenure review in order to recruit high-quality faculty for administrative positions. Departmental input regarding tenure for an administrator is necessary since tenure is awarded in a specific department, Policy 204 Tenure, Section 7. Professor Kenneth Curry, Department Chair of Engineering Technology, and Professor Kathleen Shamad, Dean of Walker Library, were recently hired into administrative positions. These faculty members have been reviewed for tenure by their department chair and dean according to MTSU Policy 204 Tenure and their respective college and department policies. The president and university provost recommend that tenure be granted effective April 6, 2021. Next, information was presented regarding approval of revision to Policy 50, timely reporting of a substantive change for accredited institutions of the SACS-CLC. The Southern Association of Colleges and Schools Commission on Colleges adopted a revised substantive change policy and procedures in December 2020. The proposed revision to Policy 50 clarifies and updates the university's substantive change policy and procedures to align with SACS-CLC requirements. Our third item for consideration was a request for approval of 3 new academic degree programs. University Policy 251, approval of academic programs, units, and modifications, states all academic actions that require review and approval by THEC must be approved by the Board of Trustees. Proposed new academic programs were: 1, elevation of the existing concentration in supply chain management within the Bachelor of Business Administration, BBA, in management to a freestanding BBA degree with a major in supply chain management effective summer 2021. Second proposed academic program, elevation of the existing concentration in media management within the Bachelor of Science, BS, in media and entertainment to a freestanding BS degree with a major in media management effective summer 2021. And third new proposed academic program, elevation of the existing concentration in photography within the Bachelor of Science, BS, in media and entertainment to a freestanding BS degree with a major in photography effective summer 2021. The last action before the committee was request for approval of degree under consideration, an MFA, independent film and television. Per THEC Policy A1.0, new academic programs approval process, upon consideration by an institution to develop a new academic program in excess of 24 SCH and notification to the institutional governing board, the institution may submit a letter of notification to THEC. The following academic program is under consideration. Pending the results of feasibility studies, the university may submit a letter of notification to THEC. The Department of Media Arts in the College of Media and Entertainment is seeking to create a Master of Fine Arts in Independent Film and Television. The program would be composed of 3 tracks: documentary, creative producing, and live event TV. The program's local tracks create a unique offering both in the region and the state. Film and TV remain burgeoning industries, as noted by the Atlanta Film Commission. Additional supporting factors include the program-ready infrastructure, strong faculty representation in the track areas, and a clear advantage in the rapidly growing documentary market. And finally, based on the interest already expressed for this degree, this program would offer a diverse student body, including many first-generation college students, an accessible and affordable means to career advancement, as well as offering those with established careers a means of transitioning to a terminal degree to teach. Informational items presented to the committee included an annual report of academic programs actions and a presentation addressing achievement gaps initiatives. So I'm pleased to report that all of these action items were approved unanimously by the committee. You have the materials in your board materials prior to this meeting, and that concludes my report.
Thank you, Pam. Do we need a motion to approve the, I'd like to get a motion to
Motion to
approve.
approve. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Trustee DeLay.
Thank you,
Pam,
Chair.
that was a long report.
It was, I
Man,
agree.
I thought you might need to come up for air. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, who made the second on that? Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman Smith. The Audit and Compliance Committee met on March 16th, 2021. The committee approved the minutes from the November 10, 2020 meeting. First on the agenda were 2 requests for approval of policy revisions. Ms. Christy Sigler, Interim Assistant to the President for Institutional Equity and Compliance, presented Policy 25, Equal Opportunity, Affirmative Action, and Non-Discrimination. The proposed revisions were drafted to reflect adoption of MTSU Policy 29, Title IX compliance, and to update job titles and terminology. Due to discussions concerning terminology, wording, and references, Policy 25 was not approved and will be revised and presented again at the next committee meeting. Ms. Janae Stevens, Assistant Vice President of the Office of Compliance and Enterprise Risk Management, presented Policy 90, Athletic Integrity and Conduct of Athletics Staff. The proposed revisions were drafted to clarify that matters covered by the university's non-discrimination investigation policies, which are policies 26, 27, and 29, and matters covered by the NCAA or Conference USA rules are not subject to review under Policy 90. In addition, cross-references and policy names are updated and corrected. Revisions to Policy 90, Athletics Integrity and Conduct of Athletic Staff, were unanimously approved by the committee. Informational items were presented to the committee, including a report of the conflict of interest disclosures for 2020, a review of the President's Statement of Disclosures of Interests of 2021, a report on compliance with public records policy, the results of 5 external reviews, including, first, Tennessee Comptroller of the Treasury's Financial and Compliance Audit Report for the year ending June 30, 2020, Tennessee Comptroller's Report, NCAA agreed-upon procedures applied to the athletic programs, Statement of Revenue and Expenses for the year ended June 30, 2020, the U.S. Small Business Administration Financial Examination of Tennessee Small Business Development Center for the program year 2019, Tennessee Student Assistance Corporation Program Review for 2019-2020 award year, and lastly, the Tennessee Comptroller Investigative Report, Middle Tennessee State University Somali Students Association and Muslim Students Association. Lastly, the committee was provided quarterly report of results of internal audit reports. The public meeting of the committee adjourned, and the committee went into executive session to discuss audits, investigations, and litigation. Mr. Chairman and trustees, as I stated earlier, I'm pleased to report that one action item was approved unanimously by the committee. Materials outlining these actions were made available for your review prior to the meeting and are contained in your board notebooks. Mr. Chairman and fellow trustees, that concludes my report.
Is that your motion?
It is.
Do I have a second on that?
Second?
Thank you. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Thanks. Trustee DeLay.
Thank you, Chairman Smith. The Executive and Governance Committee met on March 16th, 2021. The committee approved the minutes from November 10, 2020 meeting. There was one action brought before the committee. Tennessee Code Annotated 49-8-101D requires the institution to annually submit its institutional mission statement to the Tennessee Higher Education Commission for review and approval. On February 12, 2021, the University Planning Committee reviewed the mission statement and mission profile. It approved revisions to the mission profile, which were then reviewed and approved by the President. Once approved by the board at its April meeting, the mission statement and mission profile will be provided to the Tennessee Higher Education Commission to fulfill the statutory requirement. Dr. Mary Hofsele, Associate Provost, presented the revisions to the university's institutional mission statement and mission profile. Mr. Chairman and trustees, I'm pleased to report that this action item was approved unanimously by the committee. Materials outlining this action were made available for your review prior to the meeting and are contained in your board notebooks. Mr. Chairman and fellow trustees, that concludes my report.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Under discussion, I'm nitpicking here, but the second or third sentence, it says approve the minutes of March 17, 2020.
I believe that is a typo. I believe
I
the
believe
meeting
that's a
was actually
typo.
November 10th, 2020.
So if the motion could include correcting that typo, if that's necessary, I just, that
Chairman
hit,
Smith, I think that committee had been one that had not met for a while
Yes.
prior to this meeting this past March. And so the minutes that were to be approved were the minutes from roughly a year prior.
That's correct.
okay. Well, you might double check that for me, but if
We will
that's
double
right,
check,
then it just seemed too long. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous. I'm going to ask Tom Boyd to to fill in for Joy on this one.
Okay. Thank you, Chairman Smith. And in Chairman Jacobs' absence, and we do remember him in our prayers, I have been asked to give the Finance and Personnel report. So with that, the Finance and Personnel Committee met on March 16th, 2021. The committee approved the minutes from its November 10th, 2020 meeting. There were 3 action items presented for consideration. Alan Thomas, Vice President for Business and Finance, presented a request for 2 policy revisions. Policy 641, student fees, incidental charges, and refunds. The revision is to update the policy to include the charging of maintenance fees and tuition for the winter session. That's Section 6, Roman numeral 6, letter A, number 3. And Policy 730, Campus Crisis and Emergency Management. The main revision to Policy 730 is to add the Academic Continuity Committee to evaluate needs and provide guidance to ensure continuity of instruction, research, and service, and to maintain quality and integrity of courses and programs. Other revisions to the policy included minor edits and corrections. Mr. Bill Waits presented for approval a summary of proposed revisions to the fiscal year 21-22 capital budget disclosure list. Informational items before the committee included university budget updates and composite financial index. The committee voted to remove CFI from regular reporting to the Finance and Personnel Committee. Mr. Chairman and trustees, I'm pleased to report that all action items were approved unanimously by the committee. Materials outlining these actions were available for your review to this meeting and are contained in your board notebooks. Mr. Chairman, fellow trustees, that concludes the report.
We need a motion to
Motion
approve
to
those.
approve.
Motion been made. Second?
Second.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign? Unanimous. Mr. Secretary, do you have any things to add?
Yes, sir. As you know, the board secretary has been delegated the limited authority to make technical revisions to policies with the condition that those revisions then be reported to the board and notifying you of the revisions that were made. On page 149 of your materials are two policies where technical revisions were made. The first is Policy 29, Title IX Compliance. The revision was made on January 7th of 2021 after Dr. Wilson retired to replace her name with the interim Title IX coordinator, Ms. Christy Sigler. And then also Policy 605, Reports of Expenditures by the President, was modified on January 14th of 2021 to change the responsible division from the President's office to the Division of Business and Finance. That concludes my report, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Comments, questions? Mr. President?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Well, good afternoon. And Mr. Chairman and members of the board, I first want to acknowledge and congratulate our student who came and spoke to this board. It is my practice not to comment on situations or information such as what was presented, but I feel there are 2 points of clarification since this is a public open meeting for the record, that there is some clarification on 2 items that Mr. Coleman noted in his presentation. The first is that he actually accused the university of lying with regards to hospitalization and regarding COVID-19. The information that we have provided you consistently over the last year has been accurate. Obviously, we have 22,000 students, many who are commuters, many who are come maybe take 1 course or 2 courses. The information we provide you is based on the knowledge of students and the treatment of students that we see at the university. And you've heard Dr. Clark, our chief medical doctor, came to this board and explained the process. So the notion that somehow the university lied about its hospitalization of students is not correct. We reported the information of students that we work with through Student Affairs, the Medical Center, and also the state of Tennessee. I also want the board to know that we have reached out. I have personally reached out on a number of occasions to Mr. Coleman. I actually appointed him to be on the Social Justice Committee. We have a member, Dr. Linda Williams, who is here. She's the co-chair of that committee. I know you've been connecting with him. We have also, through Student Affairs, for some of the issues he had on his poster regarding Greek Road, they have tried to contact him and have him to come in and speak. to our staff to deal with these issues, to hear him out, and he has refused. I'm raising these points simply to let you know that this is not an excuse. I'm basically saying that the university is making efforts in those areas. And for the record, I want to make sure that that is clarified, particularly his comment about the hospitalization. We're very proud of the work that our medical folks have done with regards to COVID-19 and the students on campus and students that we have responsibility for. So it is likely that a student who is living in, let's say, Franklin or whatever, comes and perhaps take a course, but did not report to the university or did not take the test through the university. But every single student we have seen, and we've seen a number because you have the data, we present it to you every week, we have had 0 hospitalization and 0 issues. Now, with that, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, I would like to, as always, give you a first update on our enrollment and recruitment. Of course, this is particularly in the pandemic era, is an area that we have been paying a lot of attention to. Now, enrollment numbers all across the country are certainly a mixed bag this year. And there's been an article that came out that I thought was very reflective of the situation. Highly selective colleges, including Ivy Leagues and state flagships, are seeing a surge in application due to having eliminated the SAT and the ACT test requirement, which makes it more students being eligible for those selective institutions, and it certainly is having impact on regional institutions like MTSU. Comprehensive universities are struggling in that regard, and again, it's due largely to the remote schooling that at high schools. Many of the high schools have not been open. You've heard from Dr. Deb Sells that we've had almost 0 opportunity to meet with counselors and students, admissions counselors, although I think it's opening up just a little bit more, but that has really created a major blockage for us as we recruit our students. In addition, with high school guidance counselors working virtually, colleges are experiencing a decrease in the number of transcripts and high school documents needed to complete applications that we may admit. The application and admit data for this university as of April 1 through 21 through Dr. Sells, to compare it with last year. Yes, I want to give you some statistics here. MTSU is gradually and consistently making up ground for the initial application reports from last October, where we saw freshman application numbers are down initially, don't faint, 40%, and admits were initially down 50%. However, as of April 1, we have received more than 10,000 freshman applications, which we've cut that 40 or 50% down to just 7%, and we still have more time to go to work on that. So I want to share with you to let you know how hard our staff are working in a very difficult environment as we deal with this COVID. We have admitted 6,770 new freshmen, which is a decrease of 10% over last year. And
Of how many? What?
10%
Okay.
decrease. And actually, we are
600.
turning flips. We're going to keep that number going down, but so far, compared with other institutions, we're doing good. We need about 45% of those admitted students in order to keep the freshman enrollment at the same level as of last year. And last year, our yield was 36% of admits, but our traditional annual yield is about 40%. So you can see we have these numbers that really we track very closely that keep us on tap. We're also making up ground on our transfer application in admits. That was a concern that we had. As you have read in the newspaper, the community colleges have seen a massive decrease in enrollment this past fall and this past spring. A double digit. Some of the community colleges had like a 25% drop in enrollment. I think the average is like 13% across the community colleges. So we were concerned about that. However, in October, our transfer applications were down by over 16%, and admits were down over 11%, as in October. April of this year, April 1st, our transfer admits are down only 5.7%, and our transfer admits, our transfer admits are down 5.7%, and our transfer are down just 2%. So the admits and then the actual transfer, just 2%. That's a major, major progress. Again, congratulations so far, to Dr. Sells and her staff. Now, on COVID-19 update. Just give you a brief update. On February 25th, we began administering, and I think this is a reflection on the state confidence that we stayed very closely with the State Department of Health on this university. On February 25th, we began administering the COVID-19 vaccine in the lobby of the Student Health and Wellness Center and in our School of Nursing in partnership with the Rutherford County Health Department. There are just 2 sites in the county, the health department, and they selected MTSU as the second site for the vaccine. As of Monday, March 29th, the School of Nursing has administered 2,655 vaccine, and our health service center has administered 2,194 for a total so far of 4,849. Additionally, reservation this past week, total just this past week, 1,381. Student Health Services will continue to offer COVID-19 vaccination clinic in the Health and Wellness Center atrium during the week of April 5th, this week. Beginning the week of April 12th, the COVID-19 vaccination clinic will expand to the Student Union when Student Health Services receive an additional allotment of the single-dose Johnson & Johnson vaccine. Also, with support from the Division of Marketing and Communication, Student Health Services, we are going to work to raise the awareness and encourage our students to be vaccinated. There's a major marketing campaign that is going on, and I think it's entitled, quote, "Don't miss your shot," end of quote. And leave it up to Andrew and his folks. They do a good job of getting the word out. So we will work very hard to encourage all of our students, faculty, staff, and alumni to get their shots so that campus community can return to full operation this fall. You've gotten information about graduation. I think Dr. Burns shared that earlier with you, so you see where we are with that. Just a comment on what you've been reading in the newspaper about our aviation program and aerospace. I want to give you just a brief update on our conversation regarding the Murfreesboro Airport and our ProPilot program. Now, as our aerospace program, which is ranking in the top 5 of the nation, continues to grow, our relationship with the city and Murfreesboro is evolving. We have the good problem of having, according to the city, too many students. The fact that Delta has selected MTSU as one of their premier hiring, our applications and enrollment has skyrocketed for students from around the country, and obviously that is creating some degree of tension. The Murfreesboro Airport has been our base of operation for many years, and we have enjoyed a strong and mutually beneficial partnership with the city. Our fuel purchases and other fees have been a major source of revenue for the airport, and we recently partnered with them on a grant to fund the ramp expansion, and the state gave the city $1 million primarily because of MTSU's involvement with our aviation program to help expand their ramp. In return, the airport has been a convenient and a safe place for our students to fly. However, as I noted, the number of students in our ProPilot program has grown significantly over the years, from 319 in fall of 2013 to 886 in fall of 2020. And the applications are coming in, which means that the number of training flights taken by our students has also increased. Recently, the city of Murfreesboro began to receive more complaints from residents near the airport about the noise generated by our flights. As a result, we have had numerous conversations with city officials to discuss ways to mitigate that. And both the chairman and I have had conversations with the mayor in trying to make sure that we work with the city to address some of the issues and concern. The bottom line is that we have to begin exploring the possibility of not only using nearby airports for some of our operation to help deal with that problem, but on a long-term basis, it is really within our strategic focus to expand and look at another site that will accommodate the large number of ProPilot. And we're having some conversation with some of the area airports in that regard. I'll keep you abreast and informed on that. Now, on legislative issues, the General Assembly scheduled 2 budget hearings for MTSU during the current session, one with the House Finance Ways and Means Committee on February 22nd, and one with the Senate Education Committee on February 24th. All university presidents were there to address institution-specific questions. Only in terms of questions, general questions were raised by the committee about the impact of the pandemic, what impact the pandemic will have on future capital outlay projects and online delivery of courses. So that will be an ongoing conversation with the universities and THEC. The budget hearing with the Senate Education Committee was held virtually, where myself and Vice President Thomas presented the university budget and we addressed the committee's question. Several questions this year centered on the federal stimulus funding being received and specifically the student aid portion. And I'm pleased to report that both committees unanimously passed our university budget for this year and sent it to the General Assembly. Just a quick follow-up on, in a recent Finance and Personnel Committee meeting, a question. I think, Chairman Smith, you raised a question about the university economic impact to Rutherford County related to its capital project. And we just went back 5 years. As a follow-up to that question, I had our campus planning department look at our construction and renovation projects over the past 5 years. And ladies and gentlemen, that total was $121 million to the local economy just over the past 5 years, and certainly more to come. On fundraising, and finally, our fundraising continues to remain strong. According to Vice President Bales, we are at $8.6 million for the year, which is over $2 million more than this time last year. And when you look at the pandemic and all the struggles that families are having, that is quite remarkable. And as you know, in February, we completed another successful True Blue raise giving campaign. We raised $461,000 from 836 individuals only in 3 days. I'm pleased to report that 115 of that 836 were first-time givers to the university. Finally, I want to say again how much I appreciate the commitment and the time that you as board members spend. I think anyone who view and follow our meetings know that this board is not a rubber stamping board. We do a tremendous amount of work in the committee. Our staff have been very responsive to all of the questions and concerns raised, and that is the relationship of success in an organization and entity between the staff and board members. So I want to personally thank you all. Are we perfect? Absolutely not. Are there areas we can improve in? Absolutely yes. Will we continue to improve? Yes. We will not promise any miracle. The reality is some of these issues are very difficult to deal with, but we will continue to assess where we need to improve. We'll continue to look at areas where we need to strengthen, and we'll continue to work towards making this one of the top universities in the country. Thank you so much.
Mr. Chairman?
Thank you. Yes.
Dr. McPhee, thank you for the report, particularly the report on the airport. I understand it has become one of the busiest airports in the state, even one day having more landings and takeoffs than BNA. And my point to that is, as a pilot, to have that many landings and takeoffs without a tower, there's some element of unsafeness with the growth that we're having, that as a pilot, when I fly there's a system in my plane that goes off that tells me when traffic is around. It's one of the airports where there's traffic in a whole bunch of places. So I'm glad that you are working with the city on finding some other place that maybe we can offshoot some of our landings, because it's really a lot. There's really a lot of traffic there.
We are very much aware of that, and I want to make sure, because we've had this conversation with the city, the safety of our students and that area has been a #1 priority. We've kept very close with FFA. Obviously, because of the numbers, just the expansion is necessary. But we have a special eye on safety, and we'll continue to do that.
Just two closing comments. One is pertinent to, appropriate to go along with Darrell's presentation. With the COVID dilemma, we're going to have more students, Mr. President, that are underprepared. And so whatever problem we have with graduation now, black, white, red, it doesn't make any difference. It's going to be worse the next year or two, because you have children who haven't been to school in a year. They're going to get promoted, and perhaps they're going to have an ACT enough to get them enrolled, but that is a tremendous challenge for staff, faculty, because you're going to have hopefully more students, but less prepared just because of time in school. If not, they should take half the year off every year. The number two that Darrell mentioned, it is a fantastic opportunity, maybe our best opportunity that's kind of hit us in the face, and that is, it's a realistic goal to believe we can be the #1 aviation school in the country. Facilities are in this area to make that possible. So many times out of a problem comes a great opportunity, and I am just really pumped up about the effort and foresight that Dr. McPhee and staff have had to, I think it'll be really good news on that in the next year, where if we say we want to be #1, that's an area, that's not a pipe dream. I mean, it's right there. So thanks for all the time that you give. I enjoy being your chairman, and hope you have a safe trip.
Congratulations on today's ribbon cut. It was absolutely fantastic for this school and everybody included. Second thing is, could we be on record as sending Emily Reynolds congratulations for her new appointment heading up THEC?
Oh, yes.
Emily House.
Emily
Dr.
House. Excuse me. Emily's in that mixture somewhere, but yeah, Emily House. Sorry. Yeah.
JB, I should let you know that also I've been working with Dr. House on an initiative, and she has been outstanding.
We ought to be on record congratulating her.
Yeah.
Steve.
Yes, sir.
I hate to prolong this, but this is old news. But we celebrated being on the Princeton Review the first year. We kind of celebrated the second year, but I think that's worth, as we face challenges, that's a student determined recognition. So we've got a whole lot of students who think we're doing a whole lot of things right to be on that list of the top colleges and universities in the country. And again, I don't know that we celebrated that much the second year, but to Dr. McPhee and all the staff and faculty and so forth, that's a remarkable achievement, and we need to celebrate it and continue to be on that list. So.
Thank you.
Amen. If that's all the comments, meeting's adjourned.
That's a good point.
Good to see you.